At 10 p.m, the Prime Minister will hail the start of a new era. And at 11 p.m. tonight, we will no longer be members of the European Union. Oddly enough, we actually leave at midnight on Brussels time. Here's the latest. So here we go. That's it. Sort of. The start of a new era. An era of utter irrelevance on the international stage. Yay! A new era as the Tories end austerity by introducing further cuts to public spending. Yay! No change here, mate. Just more lies. There's a strange atmosphere here, Tim. So it's kind of eerie, you know? What's odd is, in Westminster, there's still a few people holding signs up saying, "Stop Brexit! You can't! And what's more, you never could!" Still a few people frantically waving EU flags. You know, I've never understood that. Can you remember at any point before the referendum anyone ever waving an EU flag with pride, like the EU is some sort of woke utopia? You know, it's a trading bloc. It's a club for multinationals to play soggy biscuit. It's where the phrase millionaire's shortbread comes from, you know? And yet, anyone that dared to vote to leave it, you know, like in the 80s, when we were told not to sit on a loo seat in case you got AIDS, that's how most of the liberal elite have treated Leave voters ever since the result. Don't touch them, you might turn racist. This week, you had Terry Christian on Good Morning Britain go, "Hi, all right, I'm Terry Christian. I reckon anyone who didn't vote the way I did deserves to live in abject poverty." And then we all wonder why Leave voters would rather vote for Boris than the people that we tell them to vote for. When you say shit like that, Terry, not only do you lose the moral high ground, you also lose the referendum. And you make Piers Morgan seem like a reasonable human being. And you sound like a twat. Oh, these 50 pence pieces are a disgrace. They don't represent my political views at all. Bam, these 50 pence pieces. If you don't like them, why not give it to someone queuing outside a food bank? You know, they can't afford to be fussy about their loose change. "Hi, all right, I'm Terry Christian, and I'll only give you this 50 pence piece if you agree with me about everything." Fries my fucking noodle that there are people out there that still haven't got their head around the result of years ago, you know? It took me about 48 hours. I still sometimes see Trump in front of the seal of the President of the United States, and still, 4 years later, I'm like, how can this fat, lobotomized sexual predator possibly have won the keys to the White House? But Brexit, I mean, I was as shocked as everyone else. Don't get me wrong. I was as shocked as David Cameron, the man who called the referendum and then banned civil servants from doing any preparation for if the country voted to leave, because, you know, what a waste of time that would have been. But, you know, after a couple of days, I thought, shit, it looks like we're leaving. We better get our act together. But we never have. We never did. And because of that, we now have the worst Brexit imaginable. We were told a trade deal with the EU would be the easiest in history. We don't have one. The Irish border question is still pretty much unanswered, really. Advice for businesses from the government this week was, well, whatever happens, you're just going to have to deal with it, all right? We were promised that leaving the EU wouldn't mean leaving the single market. Bollocks. What? All right, I'll tell you exactly who promised that to him, a guy called Boris fucking Johnson. You might have heard of him. The opportunistic liar who is now running the fucking country. The guy who got Brexit done. Yeah, and we are leaving the EU in the worst possible way, with a hard right, hard Brexit government in place, full of right-wing zealots who still secretly hope that we crash out without a deal, not because it's what's best for the country, but it's what's best for them and their political careers and their business interests and their bank balances. The start of a new era. Bastards. Well, just hours to go now. I was about to say before the clock strikes 11, but no big Ben bongs tonight. Not enough bobs were bunged, if I can get my teeth around that one. But later I will be...